And we are live with the lovely Nadia Colucci back in the
Hi.
house. How you doing, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
So, did I tell you we're going to Italy in February?
You didn't. In February?
In February.
Okay.
For Valentine's.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. How long are you going?
Like a week.
Okay.
So it's one of those like quick.
Yep. Wait,
And
how
I
is
didn't
it?
consult you first.
I know. I'm a little disappointed.
Which is a huge mistake.
So what am I doing here now? You want to know where to
This is
go?
for everyone else.
Okay. Okay.
Decided to go to Venice, Florence,
Okay.
and Rome.
Okay. In
So,
a week?
Can you grade me?
You're moving a lot.
Yeah, that's
Well,
how
listen,
we do it.
ideally, if you can't, that's, I think, the number one thing is understanding how much time people have to make these decisions and travel, because then you can spend a little bit more time in different areas. But if it's 7 days and you want to see as much as you can see, I think you hit a lot of the good spots. Venice, how long are you in Venice?
2 nights, I believe.
Okay.
2, and then 2 in Florence, and 3 in Rome.
Perfect.
Is I think
that's good.
how it lines up. Now we should credential you first. So
Oh,
were
sure.
you born in Italy?
So no, I was born here.
Born here.
Born here, and then I just spent my summers there because my parents are both from there. So I'm first generation American.
First generation
And
American.
yeah, so my parents were born and raised there, and then after the war, my dad immigrated here, and then stayed here, went to school here, did the military here, college, and then went back one summer and met my mom, and then got married and brought her out.
Wow.
And then the 5 of us were born.
And
Over the
then
next
5 of
20
you.
years, they had children.
But you go back a lot. You
Yeah.
speak fluent
I do.
Italian.
I do.
It's called Italian, right?
It is called Italian,
Okay.
yes. It's, what were you going to call it? Italian?
I don't know.
Don't call it that.
I don't know.
It's Italian, yeah.
All I know is that they really, in Italy, they don't really, some people will speak English, but they don't really care about you speaking English.
No.
It's like, they're just like, no, we speak Italian here, so what do you want?
Yeah. And they'll just speak it louder to you,
Yeah.
and then somehow you figure it out. But I find that they're pretty helpful. Have you not found that?
No,
traveling
no,
here?
super nice.
Yeah.
Love the people. That's part of the reason why I keep going back.
Yeah.
It's the country, other than the United States, I've been to the most.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, that makes me happy to
Yeah,
hear.
so-
I hear that a lot from a lot of people, and of course, I'm biased. And you know, one cool thing about spending so much time there is you're so close to so many other countries that you, for like a weekend, can hop over to London for like a great flea market, or you know, whatever it is that you like, or a museum you want to see in Amsterdam, Van Gogh. Like, you're right there. Ryanair is like €39, which you know is pretty affordable. It's very cool for that, I think. So that was always fun growing up. So not only do I think Italy offers a lot, I mean Europe in general has a lot of cool
There's
places
a lot
for you
there.
to
I
go.
think Italy is the best for me. I love Rome, of course. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a must.
Yeah.
But what are some of those nooks and crannies? Or like, what are some of those places you would say probably, don't go there first. You know, get there maybe eventually.
A lot of people have routes to Sicily. Sicily's harder to get to. It's the island that, so Italy's in the shape of a boot, for those that don't know, and if you don't, you fail. But it's in the shape of a boot, and it's kicking this little rock, and that's Sicily. Sicily has, it's beautiful. It's an island, so, you know, fishermen and a lot of seafood and things like that. But over the years, it's been such a pivotal defense mechanism for every country around it to have at one point conquered it. So it has a lot of influence of that in architecture and design, and so it's beautiful for that as well. So, but a lot of people want to go there. It's just kind of hard to get to. So I would save that for another trip and stick to the mainland. But Sicily is definitely a must. It's
I
stunning.
haven't been there.
It's a cool spot.
I've heard that the Sicilians are a little rough around the edges.
Oh, a little bit.
In other words, they'll be more friendly in the mainland,
Right.
Italy,
They will.
than in Sicily. They
Right.
don't love tourists
Yeah.
necessarily.
Depends where.
Okay.
Taormina, so Taormina is how you say it, and Taormina is like up at the top of one section of Sicily, so not necessarily next to Palermo, which is where a lot of people consider. That's a beautiful little spot, great amphitheater overlooking the water, stunning. So that's an extra. That's not my top main go-to. I'm with you. Rome to me is a must all the time, and the beaches of Rome are stunning. So Rome as a city is great. But if you step outside and you like beach a little bit more, then you know it's a bus ride away or a quick car. I don't drive in Rome, ever. I barely like to even be driven in Rome. It's so freaky. I have
Uber
buddies.
is illegal in Italy.
You know, it's like everything in Italy. It's illegal.
They're not cool with
They're
it.
like, don't do it.
And there are no Starbucks.
Yeah.
So, which I think is a great thing.
I do too.
Because you go there and it sort of forces you to like find some different shops. And my favorite thing to do in Italy is to wake up and go get a pastry and a cappuccino.
Yeah, at the local.
Yeah, just around the corner at the place, and it's always extremely inexpensive. And you know, it's just there's people talking really loud.
Yeah, with their hands, and they're like talking about nothing
lots
important.
going on. Yeah,
You know,
it's
one of
just
my
fun.
favorite stories is I was staying on the outskirts of Rome. I had gotten a little Airbnb, and I just wanted to walk in Rome every day and get lost every day. That was my goal. And I go downstairs, and the Italians are known for, if you ask, you know, here we're like, oh, hi, how are you? I'm fine, thanks, how are you? No one really cares how you are. They just, please just say fine, thanks, because I don't want to get into it. So in Italy, they don't do that. So I go down to this little bar, and I'm like so excited to be there, and like grinning ear to ear. It's my first cappuccino, and, you know, cornetto, which is your croissant. And I'm like, good morning. And he's like, good morning. And I'm like, how are you? And he's like, how am I? How am I? 3 times they've tried to operate on this eye and they can't. He goes, I just went to the and then there's a 15-minute conversation about his eye and how it does. And I'm like, I have no idea who he is, nothing about him, but he just yeah. So I mean, maybe be careful. Don't ask them how they're doing, because they'll tell you.
Don't ask too much.
Yeah.
It is true. We do have that sort of knee-jerk reaction here. Oh, hi, how are you? How good? How are you? You good? Yeah, good. Okay, all right, good. You know, that's just what we do.
Right.
I think it's nice though. I like that.
I do too.
I don't like the fact that most of Europe is so cold and no one gives AF. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think it's nice that people will at least pretend that they give a crap about how you're doing, even if it's just a, you know, compulsive thing that we do to everyone.
Right.
But it's nice.
It would be nice to have a little more sincerity sometimes, so a balance of the two. I think maybe here we say it, but we don't mean it. Is that necessarily good? Over there, at least they're honest. So there's some balance of the two.
It's the right thing for the wrong reasons, or you know
Right.
what I mean. That whole thing,
Yeah.
that whole conversation.
Yeah.
But in Italy, I do find the people to be extremely friendly and fun.
Yeah.
And it's actually, especially Rome, is a very much a melting pot. There's a lot of people from a lot of different places there.
Yeah.
But there's just so much amazing things to see.
Much history.
I've been to Rome. I've been to Florence. I'm going to be going to Venice.
It's exciting.
And I have been to Verona.
Okay.
Where else?
Well, so the popular hot spots that everyone loves to go and says in their mind is the best when they go is Positano, the Amalfi Coast, basically. So that's right outside of Naples on the coastline.
Naples, okay.
And that's that crazy road that people talk about where, you know, every time you look over, you think you're going to fall over the cliff. It's kind of like the road to Hana in Hawaii. That's what it is there, is the Amalfi Coast. So you have Positano, Sorrento, Ravello, all those towns that are up on a coastline, and they just all border. They're stunning. And Capri's there, the island of Capri, where they have the blue grottos that you can go in and out of. So that's a great spot. People love to go there. And then in the north, people love Cinque Terre. So that Cinque Terre, the 5 little lands that are up, very similar kind of to the
Cinque Terre?
Oh.
That place?
Yeah, please don't say that. No. Now you know, Cinque Terre. So that's beautiful. And then, of course, if you're north-north, I think Lake Como is stunning. And that would be called Lago di Como, Lake of Como. And that's where Bellagio is, where George Clooney lives, though I still haven't found you. I'll come look.
Still haven't found him? Still haven't found him yet?
No, keep looking.
Keep searching.
I'm like, why is he running from me all the time?
I'll find you.
I'll find you. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, you know, and those are places I've heard of before. What's drawn me back to Rome, obvious reasons. Florence is the David.
Yeah.
The draw
Right.
of the David to me is one of those things that's it's one of those you have to see.
Even the replica is pretty.
Yeah,
The one
the
right
one out
outside the
front.
Uffizi museums there, where you
Yes.
can see all the art that's there, because the David's, about 45 minutes, I think, outside of that, so you have to go separate. But the walking tours in any of those cities are amazing. They give you really cool tidbits on, like, you know, Dead Ringer, 3 Times the Charm, like where those originated from. And, you know, for example, back in Rome, Peter, who the rock of the church was built on Peter. Peter in Italian is Pietro, well, Pietra is rock. So, I mean, you know, the language dates back so far that now forever since Peter, every rock is referred to as a feminine Peter, Pietra. And so, I mean, just cool little things like that I
Wow.
obviously put little things like that together, but these little walking tours have so much history, and I mean, you would miss it. I mean, a book can only... Walking tours, and it's an hour or two, and my favorite in Rome takes you through the Spanish Steps, Piazza Navona, the Pantheon, that beautiful theater that doesn't have a center, it's open. So when it rains inside on the floor. And they still say that it's like hard for them to replicate today. And the drainage system works perfectly for it. And there's the pure water you can still drink because of how the Romans built the the underground system is still, you can still drink out of the faucet in Rome
2,000
today.
years later,
Isn't that crazy?
there's still fresh water just pouring out
Right.
of these little spouts
Yeah.
on the streets,
The streets.
everywhere.
And
It's fresh, clean water.
Yep, you can drink it. Whereas here, what, like 50 years later, we're like, we need a filter.
So gross.
So gross.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the marvels. I mean, the Roman Forum is an incredible thing to see in Rome.
Yeah.
If you have the time and the stamina to go through the Vatican,
Oh,
it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, but just to see the one painting in there, the ceiling, the Sistine Chapel, is that in itself is one of those kind of magical moments.
Right, and it's quiet.
Yeah, they won't let you talk.
Right.
If you say anything,
The paint might fall off or
that's like
something.
silencio or whatever it is. I forget.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that what it is?
right, silencio,
Silencio or whatever. They just like
Right,
scream that.
bark.
Like, if anyone makes any noise, it's like,
Or God forbid you hear a click from a picture.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
then
don't
they
do
tackle
that.
you.
Don't do that.
So there's a lot in Rome in that whole area. And the Pantheon, by the way, I can't believe I forgot about it. The architecture associated with that is remarkable, and that's one of the oldest. I think it was one of the first Catholic churches or something. It just had a 600-year anniversary. So it was 1409, I think,
Wow.
was when it first being used as a church.
Right, because before it had been used. The history on that, and I don't know it off the top of my head, but you can Google it and check it out. I had taken a tour many years, like '99, I think was the last tour I took there, just specifically for the Pantheon. And I remember it had been conquered, and people were going to take it. It was a dump for a while. I mean, this beautiful piece of history and architecture was, you know, depending on who the ruler was, you know, for that section of time. But I'm obviously very happy they never took it down, and now it is a Catholic church and has been for many years.
This is a remarkable structure.
And there's a ton to do. In Rome, I have like the best truffle gnocchi spot. I just sent my godson and his wife on a trip, and I'm like, you have to go, and you have to talk to this guy and tell him, I don't want the tourist version, I want the, you know, because when I go, then I always find the menu's a little different for the tourists, so I try to share that with people. So
You'll have to post that in the comment thread after the fact once this is done to let
right in
people
the
know
Spanish
exactly
Steps.
where it's by the Spanish Steps.
Fashion it right across from the Spanish Embassy. So if you're staring at the Spanish Steps right here and the fountains right here, go to the right. The Spanish Embassy is on, Gucci's right behind me. The Spanish Embassy is right here to my right and right across from it. So always on this little vicolo, little street, not our big streets here, is this little spot called Fashion It. Truffle gnocchi. Get it. It's fantastic.
There's one thing about Italy that they are tolerant of, which is interesting to me because there is no Uber.
Right.
That is illegal.
The Starbucks.
No Starbucks. They won't have it.
Right.
The American coffee.
Right.
But they let the like little street vendors do their little shops.
Yeah.
Where they post up and they sell purses or whatever or selfie sticks.
Right.
And they're cool with that.
Yeah.
Like the cops don't even try to arrest anyone. They just come around and they scatter, and then the cops leave, and then they come back.
Right.
And they're trying to sell you stuff.
Right.
And so that's one thing that you will see there. That's kind of it's a unique thing. It's really interesting, but you can buy some actually pretty cool stuff.
You can, yeah, and it's changed. I've got to say, having seen that when the lira was around before the euro and back in the '80s, it was different types of stuff you'd see. Now, yeah, it just changes with time. Like Campo di Fiori, used that big piazza that used to have the flea market, or not the flea market, the fresh fruit and produce market every day. Now it's only on the weekends. You can see that as, you know, countries grow and more people come in, maybe it's less of a priority to have the fresh food. But that's how we used to shop for our food. We'd go grab it fresh every day because the refrigerators are this big. You know, they don't have like Costco size fridges, so you can put, you know, 49 soups for a family of 4 that you have to freeze. Over there it's small, and you go, and the freezer was almost non-existent. It was pretty tiny. It was, and they don't drink, or they don't use ice, so it's not like they needed a freezer with 10 ice trays. They barely use that.
No, it's interesting because the first time I went there, I went to one of those farmers markets, is what I call it,
Yeah.
where there was fresh vegetables. I was really, really hungry.
Okay.
And finding vegan food is not always that easy.
Right.
Although what I found is that a lot of the stuff is like the spaghetti and most places, like the pasta stuff is almost all vegan. The breads for the pizza is almost all vegan. So I could go and I could find something usually.
Yeah.
But on the run, I stopped by one of those places. I grabbed some tomatoes and some broccoli, just ate it raw, and it was so good.
It's so good.
Oh,
it
the food is so
smells
good.
different.
Because they have like, there's something with the food in Italy where it's like there's no additives, no crap in the food. It's like illegal. If you make food with crap in it, it's like a federal crime. So there's no, you don't go to the store and it says, this is organic, this is not. everything's organic.
It has shifted a little bit.
Has it?
I've noticed that just even in our small little town. So I'm from an area in the middle of Rome and Naples, and it's out in, between a valley of mountains and beautiful kind of farming town. And growing up, there was never an option. It was always one kind of egg, one kind of chicken. And I would say that, after the McDonald's came in about 20 kilometers away.
Really?
In the biggest city next to us, we noticed that, now there's an option of why are there white eggs and brown eggs, and there didn't used to be that. So, the euro changed. Affordability was down. They had to make adjustments, I guess, for that. I remember going to the local butcher. We wanted to make turkey. We wanted to do a Thanksgiving there. Obviously, the Italians don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but they see it on TV, and they've grown up seeing it on 90210, and they were like, we would love to have, what are these mashed potatoes?
90210.
Oh, yeah, that. What did I say? 90210. What? Oh, my God.
No, you said it.
I'm like, damn.
Right.
Oh, I did? Okay,
yes.
good. Yeah, Beverly Hills 90210. And so we had to go get this turkey. My brother was like, you go see the butcher, because turkey's not a common meat there. So the butcher asked me, she goes, how do you want it? And I took one look at her, and she was a big, gnarly girl. And I was like, dead. I just want it dead and cleaned. She goes, how clean? And I'm like, so clean. Please take off everything. I don't want to do any of that. My mom used to make me do it, but I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, clean.
So clean,
so
please.
Clean. I'll cook it. You do everything else. So it's fun. And another one of my favorite spots, I know we focus a lot on Rome, but I am partial to Rome. If you're a wine taster, there's plenty of wine, so Tuscany is amazing for that. Montepulciano and Montalcino, which has great wines. Dry farming is quite popular there, where they don't
like they do in Napa.
over process the grape and just let it naturally grow, so it's not full of water. So then you have to turn around and add additives and sugars. And then right in that same little area is Siena, which is one of my favorite spots. And it's this medieval town encircled by a wall. And in this town that goes up is where they do the Palio, the big horse race, twice a year. And this little town has 17 different flags that represent 17 different sections of the town. So imagine cul-de-sacs. And back in the day, it was like a rival and an arch nemesis that they lived right there, and you were here, and you couldn't intermarry between, they were just very, separate. But they still celebrated.
Romeo and Juliet is the Montagues.
Maybe, yeah. The Italians carry a grudge. And vendetta is an Italian word for a reason. So, the horses all come out and still compete in this horse race in this little arena, and whoever wins, back in the day, used to be the ruler for the next year.
Dang.
Yeah. So definitely want to win.
That's serious.
Yeah, it was.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal.
I'm the ruler this year. You're out. You're banished.
The Palio. So look that up. It's
That's
kind of
crazy.
Fun. Yeah.
And so that's all still there. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they do it now in as tradition, and they come out in their medieval garb and do a big parade. It's really pretty.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I would say Florence is one of those must-goes too, but you don't need that long. Couple days.
And Venice, I'll be curious what you think. I think a couple days in Venice is enough
That's
as well.
all I've got there.
Yeah.
I thought that would be too. Really in Verona, a day and a half is enough.
Yeah.
There's not that much going on there. You go see Romeo and Juliet. You go to the arena that they have there. There's some other cool art stuff going on, and then just some of the history with some of the, there's a couple castles and things like that. That stuff's cool, but you can get it knocked out in a day.
There's castles everywhere. I mean, you can just get lost and just travel outside of any town, and you'll find a castle or two.
Yeah, which is super fun.
It's kind of like a Starbucks here. They're everywhere.
So they don't want Starbucks. We like our castles.
We have a drive-through castle Starbucks would be rad, though.
That'd be excellent. Maybe we should talk to Starbucks about that, setting something like that up.
Yeah.
So we have I guess some of the do's and don'ts of Italy, which is great.
Yeah.
What about the do's and don'ts of real estate here in San Diego? I mean, you're a real estate agent here in San Diego.
Yeah.
North Compass Realty.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool while we have you here to just kind of get a couple ideas on what we should and shouldn't do in that regard.
We'll keep it simple. You should call me and North Compass Realty and let us help you out. Done. No. Obviously, getting professional help and someone with experience. Find a guide that can help you through, like you would in it. Like when you're traveling, you look to a professional in the area or someone who knows the area, someone who knows what they're talking about. So seek that, experienced, an agent that you trust and that you admire, respect. It's a relationship that technically, should last 30 days, 60 days, but I've been blessed to have them last as friends after. So you have to get along with the person you interview and choose, and that's why you can interview multiple and see who you gel with best. So obviously arming yourself with someone that has experience and can guide you through them. You hope that there's no issues, but there's always something. And if, most people have sold 1, 2, 3, 4 homes in their lifetime, is that enough to be an expert? No, they should seek, I would say, proper counsel.
What do you think about some of the disruptors in the real estate industry? I know you were here, you were in the audience for the Zillow debate, the great Zillow debate.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Any thoughts on that, or because I mean, from a consumer standpoint, a lot of people who are trying to buy a house, they really don't know that much about it. They don't understand, is it a good time to buy? Is this a smart place for me to buy? Should I go through, a site like Zillow?
Yeah.
Other sites out there. What was your sort of impression from the debate, and is there anything we can take away from the Zillow experience?
The consumer has to make up their own mind of what they're comfortable with, right? I know what I'm comfortable with. I always look at it this way. Who is the person working for? Who does that person have to satisfy? So in the case of Zillow, they work for their shareholders, they work for their CEOs. Look at who the CEOs are. He made a great point. They're not people in the industry looking, after the consumer necessarily. They're doing a good job by putting their shareholder first, which means how do we quickly produce the most amount of revenue income or come up with the best product so we end up here. What I think is a little interesting and different significantly is when you're dealing with a principal or a business owner of their own business, their first priority is the client, always, should be. So if the client is always first, and that client really, I would say, rarely suffers if the agent is good. But when you're making a decision and you have maybe a Zillow or an agent to go through, just do a little digging, figure it out, see what works best for you. There was the option, and studio came up a couple times, that Zillow allows a premier agent a premier spot just because they pay for it, not necessarily based on their experience or their quality. That's maybe something a consumer needs to make themselves aware of too, right? So I think it just depends on who
so
and
premier agent, kind of misleading.
Yeah, sure, it's a little misleading, but as a consumer, I can see where they don't know that, and if it looks cool and they seem good, you can read the reviews. If the person seems like they'd be a good fit, give them a call. Yeah. And make sure if you're that type of consumer that hires that one person and you want that one person all the time, then make sure that they're your contact. That's what, we kind of keep it small for that reason. So every file that comes across, every client that we deal with, I'm always hands-on with. You have Ann and I, and that's it. So she might be kind of a lead on one and I might be a lead on the other, but we're always together on that. So I prefer it that way because it allows us to really handhold and manage the file from start to finish.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, push towards that because the big industrial push for like when Walmart first came in and everyone started going and shopping there instead of at the local mom and pop shops because, well, it's so much cheaper, we can get so much over here.
Right.
That sort of commercialization and the lack of personal touch, I think, has started to shift a little bit, whereas you see a lot of people now actually wanting to shop at other types of places.
Right.
There are tons of these, little natural food grocers and different specialty grocers that are opening up, and you're seeing some of those start to flourish. Yeah. And I'm going, wow, is this like the Twilight Zone? Like, it seems like we're going backwards, or there's some sort of rebirth going on. I think it's just a matter that people actually really want that personal touch. They want to know that that person knows who I am.
Right.
It's like, why do people go to the same bars, over
where
and over
everyone
and
knows
over?
your name?
That's right.
Cheers.
It's just like Cheers. I took Tanya into Jimmy O's for the first time, and she'd never been to Jimmy O's. I literally just went in to see.
Why did you do that to her?
I just wanted to see if they were going to have the fight, because Triple G and Canelo were fighting on Saturday. So I just want to go up there and say, hey, you guys are going to have the fight. Yeah. And we walked in, and I saw the same 10 guys that I used to see when I was going there, when I was single, just a random night I would go there and watch a ball game. Yeah. Same 10 guys in there. Why do they come there? Because people know who they are. Yeah. And they know who they are. Yeah. And you can have a real conversation with someone who you know. Right. And so there's a drive towards that, I think, that's happening in just the service business in general.
Our culture is lacking that, right? We're always stuck on our iPhones and our headsets, and so there is this need to connect and to communicate sometimes and to just reach a little bit deeper. I think Walmart came out kind of like a Zillow and was huge and everyone liked it. They were shiny and fun and new, but at the end we still crave some kind of contact and emotional involvement, whether it's just as a friend or whatever, someone that has a vested interest in what it is that you're looking for. A lot of people have other jobs, right? So they work and they have their jobs that manage their time. They want to be able to rely that someone else can handle it for them. And that's why you hire a professional to do that. So you don't have to, right?
Is the market too hot right now, or has it?
Well, I think one of the don'ts is maybe not to price your home too high. I think it's too hot. I mean, San Diego or California just rated the top 4th or 5th happiest state in the nation.
Really?
Yeah, behind Minnesota, New Jersey, Hawaii.
Why is everyone in Minnesota so happy?
I don't know.
Have you been to Minnesota?
Only on a layover. I wasn't very happy on that layover.
My junior national tournament for volleyball was there in June.
Okay, were you happy?
So it was the first time in Minnesota ever. Well, it was beautiful in June, though, in Minnesota.
Well, sure.
And the people were awesome.
Yeah, see, well, there must be something that is
hey,
working
how you
for them.
doing?
Yeah.
What you know? What you know? It was just funny. I love it.
Well, that's good. I mean, so there's reasons that certain states, attract or create a little more happiness, and they base it on 26 different categories. So, I mean, I'm sure the article, it was interesting. I think that we have a lot of that here, right? We've always talked about how great San Diego is as a niche, what it provides, how it's still the cheapest beach city in county, at least in California. So,
yeah,
barring any crazy loan crisis or outside factor we can't control, the inventory's still low. People still want to come here, so I don't see it crashing. A little correction wouldn't be bad, but sellers might be a little greedy. Not all, but some. Yeah, I think so. But an appraisal will help. Buyers are getting savvy too. They're like, I'll keep renting till I find what I want.
Don't be reasonable. Don't be a fanatic. Don't go one way or the other too hard. And just kind of look where the market is and be smart within that particular situation, because there are a lot of people who I think are afraid to overpay.
Right.
I think there are a lot of sellers who are afraid to undersell.
Yeah.
And that is always the case when there isn't a whole lot of history at certain price points. Like these homes have been selling for $600,000 for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Everyone gets it.
Yeah.
No one has any concern.
Right.
But when you're buying a place that you look in the records and you can see it online, last sold for $290, and the new price is $590.
Right.
And it's nice, it's new, they've redone it. Like, you're like, okay, but did they do $300,000 worth of work, or like, what's the deal here? You know what I mean? Like, that gives buyers angst.
It does, but on the same token, I think the seller has to take a little pride of ownership and fix little things that are broken, not just slap on this sticker price and then expect it. I think there shouldn't be broken things around the house. I've been seeing that a little bit. So a high price and not really show ready. And so I think a couple days of a handyman in there doing a few things is smart and should be done.
Yeah.
But why would the seller's kind of like, well, why would I have to if someone will pay for it?
Yeah.
So I'll say that'll come up in inspection. You'll end up paying for it later. So pay for it up front. It looks better, and you get a better price right out the gate. So personally,
get a better price, and then you will be able to go to Italy much more quickly and take advice.
With a little more money, too.
Yes, a little more money to spend, and maybe spend more than 7 days, so you can hit all those spots.
7 is going to be just whatever you can do. I say it's worth it.
You just have to get within what you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
And I think a lot of people here know a little Spanish. Sometimes there's enough of correlation between the two languages. I find the Italians are super helpful. And you probably know that more than me, since I speak the language, but they're really friendly. French, not so much. But Spain, Greece was the same, though I didn't understand anything they were saying half the time. But, they're a little bit friendlier, so go get lost.
If you want to go to Europe and you want to go to a place where they speak English 100%, go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, the people could not be nicer.
They speak English, they're happy.
They're all happy.
It's so fun.
Those girls with the red lights around them, they're always happy. Just avoid that section.
So pushy. And
you have your kids, maybe skip that street. So if it's a family trip, don't go there.
Oh, yes.
It's so flashy.
Watch
and
out
red.
for the half-naked girls who ask you if you have a cigarette. Okay, watch out for that.
They don't just want a cigarette.
That's just the beginning.
And they want a light, and they want a grand.
A grand.
Or is it cheaper? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, like how I asked you. I'm like,
that's a riot. She's like, how much is it? And I'm like, oh, well, no, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
What's the word on that?
Joe jumped in. He said he wants to crash the party. We should have let him crash the
Joe,
party.
we should have let you come.
We should have.
No, but then no one else would have been able to talk. Where's Joe? There he is. Oh, are they taking over San Diego? I love it.
He said there's a Starbucks in Rome. What?
Yeah, but not super. But they're not everywhere like they are here. But I've had them too.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, they're there. Because I like the iced teas, which the Italian iced teas are like pure sugar, so I always water them down. So I've gone in for a tea before.
Dang.
I don't mind. Trust me, I put enough into that economy for all that fantastic cappuccino. So good. And then, oh, by the way, have a spritz cocktail. in Piazza Navona, anywhere in Rome or Italy, really. A spritz cocktail has Aperol. It's a little bitter. You can do it's like a white wine spritzer with this Aperol and an orange slice. And in the north in Padova, outside of Venice, was kind of when in '99 I think it like became all the craze. And I find like maybe in the last couple of years it's been popular here. So
it's just like in the '80s is when like cappuccinos, like people started having them here. Like I know that's been happening in other places like Italy for a long time, but like it started to become like fanciful here.
Yeah,
it's like a trend.
It became trendy.
You know,
over there it's like a way of life.
Correct.
Like they'll come, so they go to breakfast. Their breakfast is super light in Europe. It's not, well, at least in Italy, it's never anything big. Then they'll leave, they'll go home, come back home and have a huge lunch. And kind of even like an hour or two break. That's why everything closes, the siesta, everything kind of closes down. In the smaller towns, I think Rome primarily stays open. Big cities do. But I'll have people come in front of our town bar with their car on, run in for a shot of espresso, not cappuccino, because milk after noon is not appropriate. Like they get upset if they see you drink a cappuccino in the evening. They're like, you can't have milk, it's bad for you to do that. I'm like, they say air conditioning is also bad for you, and I'm like, really? I think that's kind of fantastic. And they'll leave the car on, they'll run out, they'll do this, the guy makes them one, takes it, leaves, €1, and leaves.
Yeah.
Car's on.
Car's running.
Yeah, running. Yep.
All day.
Yeah, that's a routine.
Well, to everyone who is going to make the trip to Italy, you are in for a treat. Nadia, thank you so much for your wisdom today. Really appreciate it. Always great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, stick around for more Smarter San Diego right here on Facebook Live, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
Ciao.